What we want to achieve by our value proposition is to take the assets from where they are now, and we showed the curve, to take them from there to where we establish affirmatively leads and prospects by the process of shooting seismic, by the process of doing our gravity and magnetic studies, and we expect that in the course of doing that, not only do the value of our assets rise, but also, there's an accompanying rise in market valuation. That is where we're concentrated right now. That if we can achieve that, it gives shareholders the opportunity to realize the value of the assets if they wish. And if we can establish the kind of prospectivity that we think we can establish, then we position the company, even before drilling, to do the kind of thing that ADAX did. If it is decided that at that point that is in the best interest of shareholders. Or, furthermore, you wait and you drill if you've sufficiently de-risked the asset so that you think, let's drill first. And this is what happened with a company called Cove Energy. We've given this example. 30 million, they drill a well, they own just about 10% of the field. A well is drilled there, they make the biggest single discovery of gas on the east coast of Africa in Mozambique. And the directors of the company immediately put Cove Energy up for sale. So it goes from 30 million, it is eventually bought for $2 billion. That is the value proposition that we are looking for in ERHC.
Questions? Please raise your hand and I'll bring the microphone over.
Thank you. I'd like to make a small point about your value proposition. I'm in touch with dozens of investors who have been in this stock for some of them 5 years, some of them 10 years. And many of them are not oil people. They don't really understand the value proposition. They looked at this as a very binary bet. They see seismic, they see direct hydrocarbon indicators, and they think, oh, that's a sure thing. So their bet was win or lose, so to speak. And of course, we saw with the JBZ that you don't necessarily win every time in this high-risk exploration business. But I think what many of these people missed is a point that you outlined very well today, is that there were tremendous gains to be made along the way. People who bought in at 1 penny, people who bought in at 7 cents, people who bought in at 12 cents, like I believe the current share price today, had the opportunity to make 800%, 900%. Had any of these assets actually hit, well, then sure, they have the opportunity to make thousands of percent. So now we seem to be back in this perfect storm situation where, again, the share price is back at historical lows. We have the opportunity to once again make 800%, 900% just on drilling excitement, just on the seismic coming up with good prospects in some of the top exploration, hottest areas along various trends in Africa, now in Kenya, in Chad, not even mentioning the EEZ. But it's difficult for people to understand this idea because, well, they're pessimistic because the share price is low, when in fact it's a period of optimism. So I'd just like to make the point that many of these people have learned, but these people have strong confidence in the leadership of this company, and they appreciate the fact that you've added Kenya, you've added Chad. Instead of just sitting on disappointments, you've created yet again a perfect storm for people to profit. So I just on their behalf, I'd like to thank you. They're not a very vocal minority, but many of them have expressed this to me and asked me to pass it on.
Thank you.
Very grateful. Thank you very much.
Questions? Anyone?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you a little bit about our Kenya block. I understand that there's like a border dispute up in the northern part of our block with South Sudan. Is that something we should be concerned about at all? About whether, South Sudan's going to claim some of that territory and will there be any issues surrounding that border dispute?
Straight up, Dennis, no. And the reason is that our block is actually very huge. As exploration blocks go, when you see the categorization of exploration blocks worldwide, that is a real frontier block. It is a massive block. And I don't know, Dan, we'll get here, and let's get up the... Yes, let's get up the slide so that... Get the slide up so that we show... So that we want to show where the trend that we're looking at is and how far it is from the border.
Yeah. The main border dispute concentrates itself in the north. Actually, there is sort of another line that sort of goes from here, from this point, and then goes sort of horizontally that way. So as you can see, our basin sits south, well south of the disputed area. So the border, the other disputed zone, goes from over here, right to the middle of this LME zone. So our neighbors will have a much more of a bigger issue there. So first of all, we don't believe at this point in time that that border dispute is going to interfere with our exploration efforts. I mean, let me assure you, by the way, that if this is indeed a disputed zone, it is not in our good interest to be even flying airplanes there. So we'll stay out of it. I mean, the contractors will make quite sure that we're not going to fly there. But in this particular situation, we will not see any issues there. When we fly our surveys, we'll also take another 10-kilometer safety radius before we fly into these areas. The same goes for the border with Uganda. Uganda, there's a well-established border. There's a good relationship between Kenya and Uganda. Other operators have been flying over the border back and forth without any problem. So, and again to your question, the border disputed area is basically well to the north of where we see our basin at this point in time. So I don't think that's going to have any major impact on our exploration program.
The prior map that you showed the rift down on the bottom part of the block.
That's correct.
It looked like this CAMEC, they just stressed the northern area. So we still have good potential on the bottom.
That's correct. Your observation is absolutely correct. What CAMEC did, they did not shoot a significant dense grid over the south. So that is again, if you go to the previous slide, just to generate that excitement again, that is that tertiary rift basin creeping into our block here, and the satellite did not distinguish, maybe due to resolution issues, the basins in the north. So from a satellite image, we see evidence of the rift in the southern part of the block coming into, and then on the next slide we saw that the CAMEC ground acquired gravity shows that in that Lopikiti basin in the north. So we are very optimistic about the existence of a rift system in our block, just like the guys next door are very excited about what they found there.
Yeah, I just want to be clear on one thing. The 45 million that you're trying to raise right now, that would just get us up to the point of drilling, to speak for all the testing. That doesn't include any cost of actually drilling wells. Is that correct?
Yes, that is very correct. But just to clarify, of course, Dennis, what we're trying to do is to build up the value of the asset so that even if we had to get a farming partner, then you command a much higher premium. Because right now, if we had to get in a partner, it's a bit different. There's still a lot of work to be done on the block. You'll see a lot of activity in that region of the world, in some of the acreages, especially Africa oil. They've done a bit of work should seismic, do a bit of gravity and magnetic, and then they're able to command sizable premiums. One of the blocks around us, Bo Living, has recently farmed in, for a substantial figure. The company's Adamantine or so, and they've substantially farmed in there as well. In Chad, we just had Glencore farm into Griffiths Energy's block, for a sizable premium. Griffiths Energy has been able to do a bit of work on its block. So what we're trying to do is it's a well-tested process. Do a bit of work, raise the value of the asset, and then you command a premium.
Additional questions? Hearing none, Peter, I'll throw it to you to wrap it up.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank our very hardworking board. We keep them up for very long hours with these requests for approval of very complicated transactions and so on and so forth. And anytime we call them up, notwithstanding that they're in different time zones, they willingly give us their time, their energy, and the wee hours of the morning, wherever they may be. I'd also like to thank the members of the management of ERHC, our still new technical team, but I'm sure everybody would have seen the amount of work that's gone in a few months and how it has changed the face of the company. We are getting to be a more technical company, very technical company, and a lot of work has done into that to source the information from the governments, to interpret it and to present it in a manner that can easily be understood by non-technical people. So we'd like to thank our management team. We'd like to thank Mr. Kinney, who is our go-to person for investor relations. Dan is always there for us as well, fielding questions and doing the interface. And I assure you, Dan brings all the questions, all the criticisms, all the concerns back to management. He really does. And he tasks us to be able to answer those criticisms and to respond to them. And of course, I'd like to thank our shareholders. There is no company without its shareholders. And ERHC's shareholders have been magnificent, really magnificent. We know that there have been frustrating times. We know that there have been difficult and challenging times. But as has been pointed out today from the floor, these should also be looked at as very exciting times. We are starting a well-tested cycle again, and it is a cycle that can produce tremendous value appreciation for all of us. And practically everybody here is a shareholder of ERHC. So we'd like to thank our shareholders again. We'd like to thank you for your support. We'd like to thank you for your interest. We beseech you, this is the time more than ever before that we need our shareholders to support this company. It's been a long time for many, but we beseech your patience. And we continue to ask, even for the criticisms, keep them coming. They keep us on our toes. We respond to them. And no one, this management, this board, we never claim to have the exclusive preserve of knowledge or where this company should go or what it should be doing. So we welcome the feedback, positive, negative, from our shareholders. But overall, we continue to count on your support and your trust. And we promise that we'll continue to work hard and try not to let you down. Thank you very much, and journey messes as you depart.
Thank you.